of Nairobi. And as Your Excellency have said, I'm finally happy to have returned home to East Africa. Today, I wish to shed light on the effect and impact of climate change on Namibia and her people. Namibia's geographical location in southwest corner of Africa, with its vast desert landscape and arid climate, make it particularly vulnerable to the impact of climate change. Rising temperatures, erratic rainfall patterns, and prolonged droughts are becoming more frequent and tense, wreaking havoc on the country's economy, on our environments, and of course, affecting our people. Agriculture, a cornerstone of Namibia's economy, is significantly affected. Prolonged droughts and unpredictable rain patterns lead to the reduced crop yields, livestock losses, and increased vulnerability to food insecurity. As a result, farmers struggle to provide for their families and to contribute to the nation's food production. The impact on rural community is thus severe, exacerbating poverty and inequality. Moreover, climate change exacerbates the water scarcity challenges facing our country. With limited freshwater resources and a growing population, the demand for water is increasingly high. However, as temperature rises and rainfall becomes erratic, rivers and water bodies dry up and groundwater reserves deplete. This scarcity not only affects drinking water availability, but will also impact on agriculture, industrial activities, and hydropower generation. The water crisis strains communities, hinders economic development, and threatens social and communal stabilities. Your Excellencies, these challenges are not unique only to Namibia, as the whole continent experience similar, if not worse, consequences of climate change. We need to be clear in our message to the international community as it relates to what some refer to as climate injustices or climate justice. The global response to the effect of climate change in Africa should be characterized by agency, collaboration, and support. Africa, as a continent, is particularly vulnerable to the impact of climate change, despite contributing minimally to global greenhouse gas emissions. Developed nations must fulfill their commitment to provide financial and technical assistance to African countries. Adequate funding is crucial to support adaptation and mitigation efforts, improving structural resilience, and promote sustainable development. Technology transfer and capacity building initiatives can empower African nations to implement climate-friendly solutions and maximize their potential for clean energy generation and sustainable agriculture. As Africans, we need a stronger voice, unity, and wield more international influence to bring around the necessary change on the continent for the betterment of our people if we want to realize, and I quote, the Africa we want, in line with Agenda 2063. By working together, we can build a more resilient Africa, mitigate the impact of climate change, and ensure a sustainable future for the continent and all its people. I'm therefore positive that through the Nairobi Declaration, we send a clear message to the international community, and especially to our partners present here at this conference, that the time to act is now. Merci beaucoup, obrigado, thank you all, asante sana.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. Now it's my opportunity to request the Vice President of Colombia, my sister, to come and make her remarks. Your Excellency, Madam Vice President. She is the first woman of color to be Vice President of Colombia. Welcome.
Buenas tardes. Un saludo al presidente de la República de Kenia, William Ruto. Saludo al excelente presidente de Comoros, a Salih Assoumani, a su excelencia Moussa Faki, presidente de la Comisión de la Unión Africana, secretario general de las Naciones Unidas, Antonio Guterres, a todos los presidentes, mandatarios, ministros, medios de comunicación y en general que se encuentran aquí presentes. En primer lugar, quiero agradecer presidente Ruto por haber invitado a Colombia a participar de esta gran cumbre sobre el clima aquí en este continente africano. Vengo en delegación del presidente Gustavo Petro, quien fue invitado de manera personal por el presidente de Kenia, a decirle gracias por colocar la discusión central que hoy nos llama como humanidad a atender los grandes desafíos, sobre todo este desafío planetario que pone en riesgo y está extinguiendo todos los días la vida en el planeta. Como una mujer afrodescendiente estoy orgullosa de estar aquí en el continente madre. De aquí salieron mis ancestros y ancestras en condición de esclavitud y hoy yo regreso en condición de libertad como vicepresidenta. Y eso quiere decir que hemos hecho una apuesta por la libertad, por la justicia y por la dignidad como pueblos. Me honra estar aquí entonces haciendo parte de esta discusión tan importante. Y es el desafío que tenemos y que afrontan nuestras naciones frente al cambio climático. Como ustedes han dicho, África es la voz del planeta, pero también es la cuna de la humanidad. Y me alegra saber que hoy África, siendo la cuna de la humanidad, está dando líneas de cómo salvaguardar la casa grande, de cómo salvaguardar el planeta. Sin embargo, es necesario que esa voz se pueda extender al sur global. Hoy aquí América Latina está presente, el Caribe está presente, porque estamos sufriendo los mismos desafíos. En mi país, este año de gobierno, hemos tenido que afrontar una crisis muy fuerte en términos de los efectos del cambio climático. Hemos tenido inundaciones que han puesto en riesgo la vida de los más vulnerables. Pero ahora tenemos una sequía que está iniciando y que por supuesto va a poner en riesgo la vida humana y por supuesto la vida de ecosistemas frágiles que hacen parte de ese gran pulmón del mundo, como es la Amazonía y la región pacífica, así como sabemos acá hay otra parte de ese pulmón del mundo que es todo el Congo, la región del Congo, estratégico para garantizar el equilibrio. En ese sentido, el presidente Gustavo Petro ha hecho varias propuestas al mundo, las hizo en Naciones Unidas y hoy esas propuestas se colocan sobre la mesa. Todo lo que aquí se ha dicho sobre cómo asumir la policrisis, las distintas crisis que estamos viviendo, crisis del hambre, crisis migratoria, crisis en términos de la salud y la pandemia, es una evidencia de esa crisis planetaria y de las múltiples crisis que para mí derivan del impacto al planeta, derivan del cambio climático. Y en ese sentido, entonces, los países de renta media o los países vulnerables son los que están sufriendo las mayores consecuencias, como aquí ya lo han dicho en reiteradas ocasiones. No somos los mayores responsables de las emisiones, pero sí estamos sufriendo las mayores consecuencias. Y aquí el problema es de financiamiento, de cómo financiamos las acciones que estamos desarrollando en nuestros países y en nuestras regiones. El problema real es financiero, no es falta de voluntad política de hacer. El problema de fondo es que no contamos con los recursos suficientes para atender este desafío planetario. Y acompañamos entonces la propuesta que aquí ha hecho el presidente de una nueva reforma de la estructura del sistema financiero. No podemos atender esta crisis con las mismas reglas y normas del sistema financiero internacional, que por cierto tienen una visión colonial, donde los más ricos se sostienen en su economía a base de la explotación de los más empobrecidos. Esa visión colonial no nos va a permitir hoy hacer frente a la situación que tenemos. Por tanto, nosotros proponemos el canje de deuda para la acción climática. Ese canje de deuda, por supuesto, tampoco puede ser de la manera tradicional en como se ha hecho, porque ahí no habría una relación justa. No tendríamos las condiciones para hacer un canje con las situaciones económicas y financieras de nuestros países. Ese canje de deuda, por supuesto, implica una condición especial, y una de esas propuestas es que hagamos un acuerdo multilateral para trabajar en esa transformación de ese sistema financiero, pero además construyamos juntos en el marco de ese acuerdo multilateral un plan de acción urgente. El planeta no da tiempo, ya no tenemos tiempo para seguir hablando, nos toca ir a la acción. Y esto pasa por la voluntad política de los países del norte, del G20, que sigue emitiendo gases de efecto invernadero. No es suficiente con que realicemos acciones en el sur global si el norte global no asume el desafío de frenar las emisiones de gases de efecto invernadero, como ya lo decía el secretario general de la ONU hace un rato. En tal sentido, entonces, proponemos que se haga lo mismo que se hizo con la pandemia, y es que el Fondo Monetario Internacional emita bonos especiales, ¿sí?, para que ello contribuya a conformar un gran fondo global que nos permita a los países de renta media y vulnerable tener las condiciones económicas, ¿sí?, que afronte este desafío. Sin eso no es posible avanzar, sin ese compromiso de reformar el sistema financiero. Nuestros países van a seguir estando ahogados, sobreendeudándose y peor, sin dar respuestas reales a nuestras poblaciones que hoy se mueren. Como mujer celebro que en este espacio, en esta cumbre, se esté colocando el papel tan importante que asumimos las mujeres en la política para la vida, en esa política de usar nuestro amor maternal y nuestro instinto del cuidado para salvaguardar la madre tierra, el útero mayor. Gracias por la invitación y reitero, Colombia expresa su compromiso frente al cambio climático y expresa su compromiso para fortalecer una relación sur-sur con el continente africano, con el Caribe, que nos permita, como ya lo han planteado aquí, dar respuestas concretas, específicas y contundentes a este desafío planetario. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. For President Nana. Let me now take this opportunity to ask my sister, the President of Tanzania, President Suluhu Hassan, to make her statement. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Your Excellency, President William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya and Chair of the African Committee of Heads of State and Government of Climate Change, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President, thank you very much for being a gracious host of this August Assembly that sets the tone of Africa's growth now and the future. I thank the government and the people of Kenya for the excellent preparation of the summit and the warm reception accorded to me and my delegation. The convening of this important summit is both timely and opportune, as the theme, driving green growth and climate finance solution for Africa and the world, is quite befitting, especially now ahead of COP28, where parties will take stock of our efforts to address the climate crisis and commitment to address both climate crisis in the context of the Paris Agreement and the Climate Convention itself. Excellencies, the stakes are high and actions have to take place not tomorrow, but today and literally now. As Africans, we have no choice but to seize the moment to capitalize on its potential to offer solutions to green growth and decarbonization, and while creating resilience to its our communities and economies. We can no longer afford to address economic development, climate change, and African poverty burden in isolation. The interplay between development and climate change is undeniable, and this interlink demand integrated and coherent solution that would provide opportunity for socio-economic development of Africa. Excellencies, while the continent is highly impacted by the changing climate, it is nevertheless holding the key to solving the climate challenge. The just released Economic Development in Africa Report 2023 shows the potential of Africa to capture technology-intensive global supply chains, and it said it's all about development of Africa with climate change. It provides a unique insight into Africa's centrality to the green transition that will clearly transform our continent economies. It is said that all metals and minerals that are important and strategic for the low carbon transition are abundantly found in Africa. And these are chromium, lithium, natural graphite, nickel, niobium, rare earth metals, silver, and many more. Given the abundance of these minerals, the continent needs to reposition itself not only as a supplier of raw materials globally, but strengthen the value chains by ensuring their conversion into intermediate and final products is done within the continent. As critical minerals, as they were called critical minerals, they have to make critical contributions to our internal revenue collection and employment creation. They also have to contribute critically in the environmental protection in our countries. So having all these, Africa has to stand firm to use the materials for our own development. Excellencies, human capital dividend in Africa is another force to reckon. To avoid the past mistakes in the history of our continent, we need to focus on human capital advancement by training our own people, especially youth, so as to be able to reap from these vast opportunities. We need to consider the climate crisis as an opportunity to address the youth unemployment challenges. Excellencies, beyond the African potentials, we have potentials in our individual countries. My country, Tanzania, is leading the way by demonstrating strong momentum in driving the green growth. Almost 95% of our energy is from hydro and natural gas. We are also leading in nature conservation with almost 38% of our landmass under conservation in various regimes. We are also committed in nurturing the ecosystems that hold the promise of creating thousands of new jobs and unlimited national economic and global benefits. Talking on the offering of critical mineral to the world, Tanzania has huge deposits of some of these critical minerals needed today. Helium is present around Lake Rukwa Basin, nickel deposit around Lake Victoria, graphite reserves at the southern eastern part of the country, and we also accommodate other deposits, critical minerals, including copper and lithium, as well as rare elements. Despite of the above scenario, we, however, need to face the fact that Tanzania, and indeed the whole of the African continent, still faces unprecedented impacts of climate change with limited capacity to finance the mitigation and adaptation needs. And thus, as we head towards COP28, we have to raise an African voice on the establishment and capitalization of a special fund for Africa. The contribution and the pledges which are given by the advanced countries have to say what percentage of those pledges goes to Africa and not just a blanket pledges. As I conclude, and as you are all aware, Tanzania is hosting the AGRF Food and Agriculture Summit this same week. The presidential summit is on 7th of September, a day after tomorrow. I therefore wish to use this opportunity to once again invite you to Tanzania, and I'll personally be there to welcome you all. Once again, I congratulate you, Mr. President Ruto, for organizing such a successful event, and I look forward to seeing you all in Dar es Salaam. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Another round of applause for President Samia Suluhu Hassan. Now it's my pleasure to request my brother, President Mohamed Yunus Memfi, the President of Libya, to make his remarks. Your Excellency, Mr. President.